Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Bimber Ex-bourbon Oak Casks. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Bimber Ex-bourbon Oak Casks. This is the latest release from the Bimber London Distillery, and it's one of 1,948 bottles. It's 51.8% ABV, it's uncoloured and it's non-chill filtered. They did announce and subsequently release at the same time 3 single cask bottlings for the UK, but this is their main release for the start of 2020. So Bimber, if you're not familiar with them, are a London distillery with Polish roots. They were founded back in 2016 when they laid their first barrels, and this is now the sort of first of their more interesting stocks that are coming out. Now some of their barrels are starting to mature and they can legally call them whiskey. We're starting to see quite a variety from this new distillery. This particular bottle was £65. You may still be able to find some, but they are hard to come by now. It seems that just under 2,000 bottles is where the appetite is to snap these up quite quickly. So I'd hurry if you're interested in buying one after my review. I have reviewed the Recharred Oak Casks from Bimber. I'll put a link up there if you wish to see it. That was the last one I purchased from their main releases. So, should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. Right, so before I nose and taste and let you know if I like it, I will point out that one thing I do like about Bimber is their quality packaging. Not only does the tube have amazing attention to detail, you know, some nice gold embossing, lots of detail, including everything you need to know about the bottle in the tube. It's repeated on the bottle in the same level of detail. The paper stock is really nice quality, and yeah, it's really impressive. Something that you know, I really appreciate when you're sort of buying something from a craft distillery. That attention to detail really makes a difference. So I've decanted a little into my Bimber glass. So let's start off with the colour. I'd say that's a deep gold. Yeah, it's got a good colour to it. So let's try it on the nose. So what I get first is I get like a sweet vanilla. It's reminiscent of a bourbon. I get those brown sugars as well, like a bourbon. There is a little touch of alcohol vapour on the nose. I'm also getting like a yeah, I'd say it's almost like cola bottles or flat cola. And I'm also getting that sort of unmistakable sour fruit note. It's really quite light on this, but Bimber does have a particular note if you're familiar with it, and this does have that sort of DNA in the background. Yeah, it's not very noticeable, and if you haven't tried other Bimber releases, you may not even pick it up. But let's try it on the palate. Right, so the first thing you notice with this is it's really viscous in the mouth. Lots of thickening, really reacts with your tongue, and gives a really good mouthfeel. But that sour fruit note is really noticeable, but it's not it's not sour in the way that it's off-putting. But what it does do is it sort of, you know, once you've picked up that note, it sort of turns into like a sweet cherries. So almost like maybe like a sour cherry note. And there's a little bit of heat on the tongue, which is nice. Let's try a second sip. Right, so this time I also get a cola note. That cola note is maybe almost on like colour cubes, because there's an almost like fizziness to it, should I say. And with that, there's a really strong vanilla. It's very sweet. There's that heat's turning into pepper now, a little bit of a tingle, but it's reminiscent of a sort of a rye spice, which is quite nice. Yeah. Let's have one more sip. Yeah, so all those notes I've previously picked up, they're all really working well together in the mouth. It is not a million miles away from a bourbon, even though obviously this is 100% malted barley. Those sort of bourbon type notes are really quite noticeable, and they work really well with that malted barley, and yeah, really quite like this. I'd say the finish has got a little bit of dry wood. I'd say there's like almost like it's turning into like pencil shavings, that sort of dry wood, and definitely that sort of cherry note lingers, and maybe that's sort of where I got that sort of cola cube note. There's like a fizzy sherbet that sort of just sits on the tongue, but it's probably a medium finish. It sits around for a little while, but it isn't too long-lived. But all in all, it's a really decent dram. It's very interesting. It's almost it's almost reminiscent of a bourbon, and I think somebody who doesn't necessarily drink single malt whiskey might appreciate this if they're a bourbon drinker. And I do like that sort of rye note I pick up. Maybe it gets it from the barrel, maybe it gets it from the new make. I don't know, but it's really quite interesting, and I like that in this whiskey. So if there's still any more around, I'll put a link in the description to the distillery, and yeah, if you can find one, I definitely recommend getting one at £65. So here's the Bimber. Slauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.